Hey guys. Hi, I'm Jon-Michael Reese. I played Edward Adu.
Hi, I'm Aaron Johnson. I played Kofi Kuti.
And I'm Riley Brack, and I was in the ensemble.
And there are more people coming.
So yeah, if you have any questions for us three until, we start. Yeah. Well, from all over. We've got a couple of people from New York, but I mean, we're all pretty much local, most people in the cast. Our choreographer, Sonia Dawkins, who works between New York and here, she's studied African dance. I don't know exactly where. I know she studied in Jamaica some of their dances. But yeah, she taught us. And it was a lot about, in the rehearsal process, about the culture from where this choreography was coming from and what stories we're telling, and that it isn't just looking in the mirror. We actually didn't dance with mirrors, which for a lot of us, dancing was kind of scary at first to not have that point of reference, but truly in the culture, the choreography is coming from the inside out. It's storytelling, and so looking at yourself in the mirror would just be adding a third party that's not invited. Oh, we should introduce our friends as they arrive.
Geoffery Simmons, season Nabuto.
Joell, Weil, I played Balinda Dagumbo.
Any other questions?
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
I think it's pretty free form.
Was that aimed at me? I didn't cry reading the script. So I first came in contact with the story 2 summers ago. We did a reading of it here on this stage. And she was playing Efua then too. And it's definitely a hard story to deal with and to take in, but being that it's a project and it's a job, you have to understand the issue and everything it comes with, but separate yourself enough that you're not personally invested in it every night, because that's just so exhausting. But I didn't cry when reading it, but definitely in this process, in staging and finding the right moments and whatnot, there were tears, and there are tears every night connecting to that.
Introduce yourself.
So when I first read it, or 2 years ago? No. I don't experience emotion like regular humans. No, I'm just kidding. No. No, I didn't. But for me, the non-Efua tears, but Claudine, Nako tears, that's my name, came during the process when to sort of get into the mind of the state of mind of the play. A lot of people offered up information about their own lives and shared really personal stories that impacted me in a way that made me understand the characters better and the story better, and that for me, I know that it's fiction when I read a play because I read so many plays as part of my job. Yeah, Nana, come on down. This is Shaunice, Omar, everybody. She plays Nana. Yeah, I'm sorry, I just lost my train of thought. What was I saying? Okay, anyway. Yeah, no, I think that it certainly brought up emotion, but because as a part of our job, we read so many plays and go on so many auditions, it's the story stayed with me, and I was really excited about it because I had never seen a musical touch this kind of material and really go there, and I was really struck by that. But yeah, no, for me, I guess tears came later on in the process when it was all of us in the room realizing that we were going to tell this story as this ensemble, Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm born and raised here in the Pacific Northwest, and so no, we don't get an opportunity a lot to perform with an all-black cast and tell our stories. It just doesn't happen here. I was blessed to go to HBCU in Louisiana, Southern University. Woo woo, go Jags! And so there I was exposed to a lot of black art on stage. And then I lived in Houston for some time, and there's a theater out there that I was privy to work with and just see and do Black art on stage there. And so it is, I mean, it's a different dynamic, especially if you come from a place like Seattle where it just doesn't happen as much. I have to say I was very excited to do a story about us, even though I am an American. I still identify across the water, and so this story still is about me. I feel like it is. I have an opportunity to tell my story. So yes, I think there is a certain cohesiveness that we have, and I think it's because of the area that we live in. And so in most cases, we don't go to all Black schools. We don't, maybe church, maybe, we're never in a situation in this area where it's all us. So I think for me personally, there was a certain kinship, yeah. And then to tell our story too, that was important.
So piggybacking off of what Shaunice said, I grew up in the Kids Stage program, so this was my first opportunity to do an all-Black show in Seattle. I had an interesting situation in school in Pittsburgh where most of my class was Black, so we had the opportunity to do all-Black shows all the time, but being able to do an all-Black show where I grew up and where I trained was really fantastic. There is a certain camaraderie when you walk into the room, a certain heart, a certain spirit that you just don't get always in other casts, and it's been a really fantastic experience to get all of that here and grow and tell this story. So, yeah.
Well, I think what she's talking about too is that we support each other. I think, right? So there's never a feeling like I won't say never. We also need to grow. So I think we're critical and we're less critical in a certain way. So it was fun. It's fun. I would say that it's not determined on the fact that we're Black, but it's nice to tell a story that has to do with Black people, because that's who we are in essence. So in that sense, yeah.
No, there's not. There's not a single Black person or a single white person in the cast. We're all Black. We come in many shades. Many varied shades.
Just to speak on that, it's a different talkback, but just quickly touching on that, the two white guys, for example, they're not white, they're Black, but Justin. But for example, Riley, are you? Yeah. So like Riley, for example, we are both biracial, but we, I will always pass for Black, and sometimes.
My mother as well. We're talking about
Totally
Hello.
different talkback all of a sudden.
A long
Hi,
time,
everybody.
25 years ago. I mean, my mother is Black and my father is white. And I think, this is a topic that comes up throughout, I think, when you are mixed race through your career. What do you play? Are you Black enough to play this, or are you white enough to play this? And to be honest, it's seasonal also.
Yes, Riley. Yes.
But I think, at least when we're talking about the United States, sometimes it's what school would I go to if things were segregated, and it's really, we're telling a story here, and I think hopefully it's not distracting, but I think it's, when we go into an audition, it's really what we're called back for, and when I'm given a callback, I show up and do my best with what I am, and I like to spend time in the sun, and my skin might be a little darker that day, but maybe if it's a different time of year, it's not, and that's not actually my business. And that I feel I just show up with the best that I am, and I love and honor that, my parents are of different races and love one another very much, and that's why I'm here.
God bless you for it.
Yes.
Yeah, our choreographer, Sonia Dawkins, did a lot of research the naming ceremony in particular was drawn from that research into Ghanaian culture and Ghanaian dance, but that ceremony in particular, she watched a lot of videos of different naming ceremonies, and has she studied in Ghana? I know she studied African dance, but anyway, the movement was very authentic, and the choreography for this show was really interesting and different for I'd say most of us, maybe as musical theater performers, because they're part of the reason that I love our choreographer was that she was very much about like the movement being from the earth and that it was grounded in each individual's body and that we were a community, but not that it was pristine and that we were all like hitting the same angle or doing, you know what I mean? We never used mirrors the entire process, which is really strange for most musicals. Like usually you're in the mirror, you're checking your lines with everybody else and like falling into formations and all of that. But for this process, the choreography was very organic and it was very fluid, and it still is quite fluid in the show. Like there are things that are slightly different every night, depending on feel and depending on where you end up on the stage and depending on who you're next to in that moment. And that was a really kind of beautiful community building experience for us, I think, because we got to play off of each other and not, I'll be honest, not compete, because there's that edge in the musical theater world where, like, you know, it's like, I got that move. But there's none of that in this show. We're all just like a community of movement, and I think that's really special. I hope that it reads to the audience, but the movement was authentic. The step? Yeah, actually each of those movements has a meaning. So, oh gosh, I'm not going to remember all of them because I don't do it anymore. But I don't know what's made it. So the clap behind when they're walking through the funeral procession, that represents grief, I believe. It's like something about the grief following you. I'm sorry, I'm not being very eloquent about this because I just can't remember. I don't do it anymore. I used to do it, but we changed it anyway. This is also, that's grief as well. And then there's, letting go of the pain, like.
It means that the hit slapping of the side was "I'm still here."
Yes,
was our
that's what it was.
emphasis
Yeah.
of though this person has passed on, that I am still here, living and breathing.
Yeah. Oh, very cool. Don't be embarrassed. No. We did, yeah. Yeah, Kate. Oh, thank you very much. Thank you. Our dialect coach was Kate.
Meyer.
She works.
Yeah,
Kate Meyer. She works at Cornish. Yeah, she's great.
Am No, I have emotions. I go through different stages, but no, it's lovely to have a role to get to express so many different things. Yeah, it's wonderful.
Lydia, the girl's 13, and Joshua's 9. Yes, they were cut from Act 2 so they could go to sleep.
They bow with us at matinees on the weekends because they have to be here for the second show. But it's purposely written in such a way that there aren't kids in the second act because the way
It's a long show.
Yeah. I think, yeah. Some people have a long journey.
Because we do 9 shows this week and we're tired. This week, yeah.
You have another question? Yeah.
Hey, not for your
Sorry.
question.
Yeah, sorry. It's Mboligikpelani. My background is, my family's from Congo, Democratic Republic of Congo. My parents and my entire extended family and my brother and sister were all born there. Yeah, Mboligikpelani. If you look at it while I say it, you actually just pronounce every letter. Mboligikpelani. See? Thank you. Yes, in the back? Oh, gosh, thank you. Huh. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you very much. Please let Village know that. Take those notes.
One more question there, over there in the.
Musical theater? Is that what? Is that like, sure. Well, yeah.
Okay. So since this is a new work, there is a lot of back and forth between producers, writers, directors, everyone involved, and so especially in a piece like this where they have developed it or nursed it for so long, Village in particular has a hefty say in what happens and what stays and what doesn't stay. But because it is a new work and we are in this process where everything is shifting and everything is changing, it's a big compromise always. So sometimes a song has to say a certain way because this will appeal better to this audience that we are presenting to right now. However, down the road, it may be something completely different. That song may not be there. There'll be a completely different song. But this show right now is still fluid. We are just doing a version of it right now, but that does not speak to what it'll be 5 months down the line, 5 years down the line.
I wanted a Caesar dance.
I will say as well.
Okay.
Riley, did you want to speak?
I was just going to say that, yeah, it is a compromise. It's a merging of different art forms, and that in the first number that, we weren't speaking English words, but we're also communicating a story to everyone out here, and that, to have our words in English, and that it is the merging of, it isn't a classical musical, but it also isn't just a slice of Africa brought here, and that we're just trying to sort of, I think the composer and the lyricist, everyone is trying to make it as authentic to the culture as possible while still being in a medium that people will still come and see and can understand and enjoy in a place that is familiar.
You want to speak on it?
A lot of people have asked me, well, what's the show about? And what I really appreciate about this show is that a lot of times when you see or you hear about a show that is about Africa or Africans, you assume that there's going to be a lot of drum beating and a lot of vigorous dancing and again, the Lion King opening, and that's what it is. And then we get to Act 2 and we smack them over the head and say, this is not what you thought it was. But it's a real story that's really happening right now, and not just over across the water. It's happening here in Seattle. And that's what I really appreciate about this show, why I tell people, it's not what you think. It's not the Lion King. I know you're going to have fun. It's going to be nice, and you're going to hear some nice music, but it's not what you think. And that is why I personally appreciate this show, why I'm honored to be attached to it. I'm honored to be in a part of the world premiere, because it is so different, but it doesn't let you know that it's different until we get there. And then you're like, I had no idea. If you notice in the beginning, we have all of these, or we have some nice dance numbers. In the second act, in Accra, no one is dancing. There's no, the joy is in Kafrona. I always say about the character Efua is she thinks she's running to joy in Accra, or she's running to her future or happiness there. That's where she thinks she can be free. But her freedom really is at home in her village. That is where the happiness is. That's where the dancing is, the beauty of her culture. She goes over there, and if you notice, it's bleak. Not even a dance number. And so it's a very telling story of what is happening right now. It's not fluff and foo-foo and we're just going to have fun and dance to some nice rhythms. It's so much more meatier than that.
Oh, okay. Thank you all so much for coming. Thank you very much. We're only here for 1 more week, so tell your friends. And then we move to Everett. Okay.